Hi, today we're going to be looking at the next passage that the Rebbe taught children to say, and that we're looking at as a means to re-educating ourselves and building our life upon solid principles. And the verse says as follows, it's a teaching of our sages actually. If someone says, I tried and I did not succeed, don't believe them. If they tell you, I didn't try and I succeeded, don't believe them. And if the person tells you, I tried and I succeeded, then you can believe them. This is clearly a fundamental principle in educating children in our own approach to life. It means there are no quick fixes. I have to work the program. Know that if I see what I think of as success, it's not truly success if there wasn't great effort that went into it. Now I'll come back to that in a little bit, because we often do see great blessing and abundance in our lives and it doesn't appear to have come from effort. But if we're thinking about working on a project, working on a relationship, our Torah study, the way we do mitzvahs, all of it takes effort. And the sages are telling us, if you try, you will succeed. And if you see success, don't mistake it for real success, that it's going to be something lasting if you haven't put in the corresponding effort to get that. Now, when I read this passage, I often think to myself, many of us, and myself included, have tried and tried and tried, or at least we think we've tried, and we haven't met with what we think is success. I know there was something that I worked on in my own life for over 15 years, and I kept on trying and kept on trying. And I knew the saying, which we all repeat, how does it go? Something like, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and expecting different results. But somehow I was attached to solving this particular problem in my particular way. And I put in effort and didn't see the results that I wanted. And obviously, how we put in effort has to be guided. The Holy Baal Shem Tov tells us our eyes look out, they don't look in. So we need to seek counsel, speak to our own spiritual mentor, or what the Rebbe calls a mashpia, speak to good friends, and try and assess, how am I supposed to be trying so that I will be able to succeed. Reb Chaim Ashkenazi wrote an article I read. He's since passed on, Olav Shalom, but he said something really interesting. He related speaking to a Baal Tshuva, someone who had come back to observance in a Torah lifestyle. And this young man had said to him that he had been involved with Buddhism prior to his coming back to Jewish observance. And he was one day speaking to a monk who was a teacher of his, and he asked the monk, how do I find the truth in life? They happened to be standing near some water, at which point the monk took this young man's head and dunked it under the water and held him there, and he was gasping for breath and trying to lift up, and eventually he lifted up his head and he turned to his teacher and he said to him, what are you doing? How could you do such a thing to me? I asked you how to find the truth and you try and kill me? And the monk answered him, he said, if you search for the truth like you were looking for air, then you will find it. Seek it with all of your might. Like Lahavdil, we say, love God with all your soul and all your heart and all your might. We have to put our all into succeeding. And succeeding doesn't mean, in this context, something that you can necessarily show with your checkbook or any other external measurable signs. It means, am I succeeding in fulfilling the will of God? And ultimately, when I do that, I will shift internally and experience blessing in my life. So my point is, even though we may think I've tried and I didn't succeed, maybe I was trying in the wrong way and I need to look for that guidance. How can I tweak my efforts so that I'm going to be blessed with the success that I am looking for. And I have to do that with all of my might, as if I'm struggling for my very life. Now, on this passage, I would like to bring something which the Alter Rebbe mentions in his teachings. It's a very beautiful discourse where he speaks about the term Avodah. Avodah is divine service. Now here in our passage we have the word in Hebrew is yogaiti. We translate it as I tried. But yagir is more than just trying. It's putting in an exerted, sustained effort into something. And it reminds me of this notion of Avodah. The Alter Rebbe says as follows: the term Avodah is not physical labor. It's speaking about divine service. And what is the origin of this term? He says it is a contraction of the word, or a bouncing off of the word ibud. Ibud iris means to tan skins. So to be a leather tanner, to take that leather and apply whatever chemicals or creams need to be applied and soften it so that eventually you get that beautiful belt or pair of shoes, a soft leather jacket that is made from that very coarse skin. And Alter Rebbe explains that in our lives, we are born in a way where we are like that tough leather of the hide of an animal. And our work here is to soften and refine ourselves. And just as it takes repeated applications and ongoing effort for the tanner to soften that skin and make it into a garment, so too do we have to soften our own being, our animal self, and elevate and refine it. So that gives us a little bit of the sense of the yagir, the effort that goes into this kind of divine service. What is the orientation? And ultimately, in that discourse, the Alter Rebbe says as follows: the word for skin, a tanner of skins in Hebrew, is orot, and it is spelt with the letter ayin. That means skins. Or is the skin of a person, or it could also be here, orot, the hide of an animal. The word for light in Hebrew, you may be thinking to yourself, is actually the same word, or. However, it is spelled with the letter aleph. Skin is spelled with the letter ayin, light is spelled with the letter aleph. And here, our meditation is as follows. If I bring my eye, the eye of the word skins, meaning my mind's eye, to my life, if I meditate upon it accurately, if I think about my soul in my physical body, I will be able to transform that skin ultimately to light, which is something that we read in the Torah about Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, when he came down from the mountain. He was on such a highly elevated state of godliness that his face radiated light. Now, there is another teaching I would like to bring in connection with this, and that is something that I saw in the writings of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. He says you will never be successful in life without two kinds of water. You need hot water and cold water. That's the effort. What's the hot water? Sweat. And the cold water? Tears. So I guess the euphemism blood, sweat and tears is not so far from the truth. We have to put in enormous effort and have to teach our children and train ourselves. Expect it to take effort. Don't expect it to come easily. So there has to be that ongoing effort where I'm schwitzing, I'm literally sweating from the amount that I put in. As we say, bezias hapecha, you will live by the sweat of your brow. It's almost there like a mental sweat. I have to sweat from my body, from the physical exertion and the spiritual exertion. And I can also anticipate the cold water, which is the tears. Growing means I'm ready to admit that I'm wrong and open up and be vulnerable. I can cry, but cry over my spiritual standing. How far am I from God? How far am I from the truth? Not cry because of me and what I want, but cry because I see the gap between me and that truth. All growth involves that hot water and cold water. And if we put this in, the yagir, the effort, the aveda, the divine service, and our hot and cold water, then we are assured of success. I want to add one point here, though. There is a very beautiful comment of the Rebbe on this passage where he teaches and he says to the children as follows. We generally, in English, translate the passage, if you tried and succeeded, if someone says, I tried and I succeeded, believe them. But the literal translation of the passage is, I tried and I found. Yogaiti umatsasi. Limtsoa in Hebrew means to find, not really to succeed. Hatzlacha is success. But this passage is telling us, I tried and I found. What's the teaching? To say to a child, to say to ourselves, when do you find something? When you least expect it. You're walking down the street. You see a $10 bill on the ground. You found that. Even if it was a quarter, you found it. It's not so accurate when you're going looking, or even if you are looking for something, you find it in a place that you didn't expect it to be. To succeed is something that is much more connected to a cause-effect reality. Here, the sages are teaching us two things. Yes, there is a causal effect. If you try, if you put in all of this effort, you will find, you will succeed. However, there is a second dimension. You are going to get something so much greater than what you anticipate. You will call it a find. That means I put in effort in life. I try, I have my success. But coupled with that success, coming together with it is a success that is so great, it's something that I consider to be a find. It is truly unanticipated. May we all be blessed to be able to put in our effort, tan our skins, go through the sweating or the tears, whatever it takes. We should have no more tears already. And we should be blessed not only with success, but with finding the unanticipated blessings that come from all of our efforts.